I use 9-foot Wally Marshalls with a 4-pound test. I use 3-inch bobbers, and at the bottom of those 3-inch bobbers, I put a split shot. The reason why I put that split shot is so I could get a even further cast. There's the split shot, 3-inch bobber and split shot. There's the 9-foot rod, Wally Marshall, and I use cheap reels, 1 ball bearing. They're fine, as long as I don't keep catching no catfish and shit like that. But excuse me, guys, excuse me. That's what I use far as my rods and reels go. And I'm gonna flip the camera and start another video of my tackle. Give me a second. All right, guys, I'm back. So I'm glad today I run the Fishmobile. So this was what I use. So I don't go over a 1/64. I get them off eBay. I jig them myself. These are bigger because it was something I was experimenting with, and they're cool. I really don't like them too much. I think I'm gonna switch them and use them for ice fishing for those days when the water is cloudy and I need a bigger profile for them to see. But I use 1/64 ounce Sickle hooks. Sickle hook is that curve in it there, and I paint my jigs myself. And how that looks on a bait once it's on there. These are baits that I already have used, because what I do is I glue my baits. My baits are glued. God damn. I'm trying to get you one that's okay. We're gonna use this for example. So that's how that Sickle hook sits out of that bait. That's a pink jig head. I painted myself, but I don't put them in the oven, so that's why that one's chipped. And I run those jigs with a 1/64 ounce. Everything I run is 1/64 ounce. Everything is 1/64 ounce. Everything. And what I do is, before I slide that jig all the way up on the hook, this is the brush crazy glue. I take that brush and I just hit it a few times around the collar of the jig. That right there. That way, if I do miss a strike, they'll come back. Put it around the collar, right there around the collar. If I do miss a bite, they don't pull the jig down. Because a lot of times when crappie miss that bait, that crappie ain't go nowhere, bro. He did not go nowhere. Don't reel it in. Don't pull it away from him. Just sit there, tap it. And what I try to do is I try to jig in the same location. Try to keep the bait in the same location. So I don't want to jig, move it away. I want to just jig it enough to keep it in that location. Of course it's going to move because it's a fucking bobber. But I don't try to jig to where it hops away. I'm going to start with my go-to tray. This is my go-to tray. Crappie loves, believe it or not, these fucking, what the hell they call it? Crappie magnets. They love crappie magnets. They really do work. With a 1/64 ounce jig head, slow fall. They love slab slingers. That tail get to twitching as you jig it, and it sits there. This time of year, don't work your bait super fast. Fish slow, super slow. A lot of people use Bobby Garland. My boy Ben, he uses the Bobby Garlands. I don't use them because I found out that stinger shads made by Southern Pro are cheaper and just as effective, if not better. They're sin infused, and I get 25 off of eBay for $5 and like 90 cents or some shit like that. And I love those. Let me see. I use tubes too, but I mostly use tubes when I'm jigging, straight jigging. And what's here? More Southern Pro. These are panfish assassins. These is one of Cass Kenny's favorite baits. He'll fish next to me with these and fucking whack the fish, and I don't catch shit with them. But I have my own black and chartreuse that I like, and I'm actually out, so I need to redo. These black and red, also Southern Pro. Man, these things sell out faster than any jig I know that crappie like. No matter where you go, they sell out fast, bro. But I'm an online shopper. So that's a rundown of my tackle. I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna tell you what I do to try to locate fish. To locate them, if you get an idea of the depth, that helps a lot. If you understand where brush piles are near drop-offs, that helps a lot. And I'll be back. All right, I gotta go back in the building. But as far as locating them, what I try to do is find brush that's near quick drop-offs, because what those fish will do, they'll sit in that brush on cloudy days. So say the brush goes from 0, say it's a fallen tree. For example, the spot up Liberty I was at, it goes from 0 feet, and then probably 5 yards in front of me, it drops down to about 6. It's a steep drop, and then further out it goes, the deeper it gets. The tree is probably 15 yards long, and at the front of that tree where all the branches stick out, like those branches, that tree is so fresh that it just look just like that. In front of that tree is about 13 feet of water. So what I would do in that situation, depending on the sun and how warm the water is, if it's a sunny day, those fish push deeper. Crappie are a low light condition fish. They like low light conditions. So with that being said, is on a sunny day like Sunday, I started deep. I just went ahead and started deep. I started around 6 feet, and from 6 feet, I worked my way down to where I was almost running the bottom. You don't want to be on the bottom with crappie, because crappie feeds up. So if it's 10 feet of water, those crappie hold on the bottom, you want to be 9 feet down, maybe 9.5, because sometimes they get real lazy in the winter and just don't want to fucking move. They'll come up just a few inches and sit there. And whenever I see that bobber does anything different than what it was doing, so if I was twitching it and it was coming back to me and the front was leaning towards me, if that sucker go back in the opposite direction, I'm gonna pop his ass. If that sucker go to the left, I'm gonna pop his ass. If he go to the right, I'm gonna pop his ass. My bobber do not have to go down. As long as my bobber twitch and look like it's gonna sink just a little hair, not a whole lot, I'm gonna pop his ass, and a lot of times it'd be a fish. And those slabs, that's what those do. Those big 3-pounders, those 2-3 pounds I've caught and have under my belt, both of them, I did not know they were on my line. I was jigging and the line just got tight, and I set the hook, and sure enough, 2-3 pounders, same spot, and it happened the same way. Now say if it's a spot that hold crappie and there's no structure, so it helps to have a general idea of the depth. But if you don't have a general idea of the depth, but you think it's deep or you think it's shallow, automatically start shallow. I will start at 3 feet, and from 3 feet I will work my way all the way down. A good way to figure out the depth, if you know how to tie on a slip bobber, tie on a slip bobber. If that slip bobber sits up and you got it 10 feet down, that means it's over 10 feet of water. If that slip bobber lays down and you got it 10 feet down, that means it's under 10 feet of water, because the bobber stop up top, the line isn't pulling down, and that bobber isn't sliding up to that bobber stop. So you need to adjust the depth, come down some until that bobber sits upright. But keep in mind, you want to have your split shot down by your jig at first until you figure out the depth. Because what happens is I set my split shot a foot away from the slip bobber when I do leave them in. Just because that bobber is sitting up, I still have a foot from that slip bobber. My jig could be on the bottom. You know what I'm saying? If I don't get no bite, I move it up a foot until I get a bite. If I'm using a stationary bobber, I'm just going to play with it all day. The biggest mistake people make when they're crappie fishing is they stick to the same color, the same presentation of bait, the same type of bait, and they stick to the same depth. If the water is chocolatey, I want black and chartreuse, maybe with a little red in it. If the water is clear, I'm gonna start with white and chartreuse, a pink and chartreuse, colors that show in lighter water. If you're used to bass fishing, you know what I mean. And I'm gonna start with that stationary bobber, 3-4 feet, depending on how I feel is deep. And I'm gonna work my way down. I have 9-foot rods, so I can fish a stationary bobber 9 foot deep, because I have long arms and I'm a big guy. I'm fucking 6'3" and some change or some shit. I really don't know, but yeah, I'm a big guy, so I fish it all the way down to 9 feet. I don't get no hits. Guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna switch that bait. I'm gonna stay down at 9 feet, and I'm gonna work my way back up. I don't get no baits. I'm gonna switch that bait, and I'm gonna repeat, go back down until I find something that gets me a bite. If the bobber just twitches a little bit, it gets me a bite, I'm gonna stick with that color for a while. But if I don't get no more bites, I'm gonna go down or I'm gonna go up. Keep changing your depth, keep changing your bait until you figure them out. If you get a deeper ball and have an understanding of how deep it is, even if you don't see no fish on it, and it's really, really cold outside like it is now, I believe water temps is in the upper 30s in some of the locations I'm fishing. One spot actually though, that shit was still in the fucking lower 40s. Was shocking me, but it's only 7 feet deep there. And I've been me and Ben been fishing that spot. I think I've been taking Ben there for now like a year or two. Me, I've been fishing it for 7 years and I could not figure out those crappie. I think we finally figured them out in there. And I might go this evening if I don't have to do nothing after work. If not, I'm definitely going tomorrow. And yeah, I'm gonna pluck them out of there. But yeah, like I was saying, keep trying to switch your baits and moving your depth. Don't stay with the same bait. Don't stay at the same depth. Because today you might get them on black and chartreuse 6 feet deep. Tomorrow they want fucking white and chartreuse. Excuse my language. They might want white and chartreuse 8 feet deep.